and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
Every now and then, we are reminded of just how dangerous Donald Trump is. During his Veterans Day speech in New Hampshire, he made some threats with some terminology that is a very interesting choice, especially for a Veterans Day speech. Check this out.
Today, especially in honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections and will do anything possible. They'll do anything, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and to destroy the American dream. The real threat is not from the radical right. The real threat is from the radical left, and it's growing every day, every single day. The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within. Our threat is from within.
I agree. The threat is from within, and it's Donald Trump and his supporters. This decision to use the term vermin, especially on Veterans Day, is an interesting choice, considering that is one of the main terms that was used by the Nazis in dehumanizing Jewish people. As New Republic writes here, this is straight up Nazi talk in a way he's never done quite before, to announce that the real enemy is domestic, and then to speak of that enemy in subhuman terms is fascism 101, especially that particular word. And they go more into the history on that in this piece as well that I will link below. But I also want to go over some stuff here. And this isn't just talk from Trump. This is also in his plans. So it's one thing if it's a speech, and even then, of course, it's not excusable if it's just a speech. But it's also the fact that he has people working behind the scenes to do the very thing he is saying he will do. First here on the way at least the New York Times initially wrote about this, David DeWitt here, who, let's get his title, editor-in-chief and opinion columnist for Ohio Cap Journal, writing here, Trump using enemies within and vermin rhetoric, literally out of the Nazi playbook, and this is the New York Times headline. Their stories in full are usually good, but their headlines and framing are ridiculously irresponsible banalities amid nearly unprecedented anti-democratic stakes. This goes to the criticism I have of this New York Times, Washington Post, other mainstream outlets, where even if often the information that they discuss is of course accurate and important, the way they frame a lot of their stories doesn't take the threat seriously enough. This was their initial headline. Trump takes Veterans Day speech in a very different direction. So after complaints, they did thankfully change that to in Veterans Day speech, Trump promises to root out the left. So it's a better headline. I still don't think it conveys enough of the threat here, but regardless, New Republic writes, Trump invoked vermin on the very day that the New York Times broke yet another harrowing story about his second-term plans, this time having to do with immigration. He plans, the Times reported, to scour the country for unauthorized immigrants and deport people by the millions per year. And he wants to build huge, yes, detention camps. There's much more. And all of this, by the way, appears to have been fed to the paper by his own people who are obviously proud of it. They want America to know. And just before this, remember, Trump told Univision that he would use the Justice Department and the FBI to go after his political enemies. So these are not just words. This is not just a speech. These are his actual plans. They are bragging about this. They are advertising this as a way to drum support up for people to come out and vote for him. It's important people are aware that this is not the same Trump as his first term, which was already terrible for endless reasons. This is an emboldened Trump. Because he is facing 91 charges, 4 indictments, because of the way that he feels he was wronged by people close to him within his administration in the first term, this is Trump Unchained. And he is only going to surround himself with people that are completely on board with this agenda of rooting out his enemies, of imprisoning not just, I shouldn't say not just political opponents, but political opponents, but also, media that doesn't agree with him, that doesn't push his propaganda. We are looking at a potential dictatorship here, like an actual dictatorship. And that goes to, I'm going to get to in a bit here. I've discussed this before in terms of the plans he's laying out on his own website. It is clear he is trying to consolidate power to himself. Now, a bit more here from Common Dreams. The former president also said Saturday that his administration would launch the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, institute strong and ideological screenings for all immigrants, revive the Muslim ban, further slash taxes, gut regulations, and prioritize the approval of fossil fuel pipelines. Trump's speech heightened alarm over his authoritarian intentions should he win another term in the White House, 4 years after attempting to overturn the election that removed him from power. The former president is currently facing more than 90 felony charges, many of them stemming from his election subversion efforts and the Jan 6 insurrection that he provoked. Let's pretend for a second that I didn't even read the first paragraph about all of his ridiculous, insane plans, his policies. This alone, just the fact that he was president, tried to steal the election when he lost, not just through the insurrection, but through how he was working behind the scenes. That's why he's facing all these charges. Just this alone is enough of a reason to ensure this man does not achieve power again. Yet, on top of that, you add these insane plans. The election's a year away. So there's a lot of time to ensure people are aware of how dangerous this man is. But, the world right now is already a terrible place. This would make things a lot worse for a lot more people. Much of the planning for a second term has been unofficially outsourced to a partnership of right-wing think tanks in Washington, dubbed Project 2025. The group is developing a plan to include draft executive orders that would deploy the military domestically under the Insurrection Act, according to a person involved in those conversations and internal communications reviewed by the Washington Post. The law, last updated in 1871, authorizes the president to deploy the military for domestic law enforcement. So this is the kind of crap that, again, isn't just in a speech, but is in the actual plans. And he has people that know how to work the law in his favor working on it. And this is from July, my video here. Trump reveals plan to go full dictator in 2025. A lot of this is on his actual website. This is one example. Trump will bring the independent regulatory agencies such as the FCC and the FTC back under presidential authority. Straight up saying, hey, these independent bodies, no, forget it. I'm going to control what they do. Pure dictator. This is not a speech, not somebody thinking or assuming what Trump may do. It's on his campaign website.